Well, as we continue reading through the Beatitudes, this portion of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, let's read through Matthew 5, 7 through 12. It says this, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." Now, this passage is unique because it serves as the bridge between understanding the spiritual reality that Jesus blesses those who live for Him, and understanding the physical reality of the reality that we need to have proper perspective as we live for Him. You see, we just finished reading a series of blessed are statements. And each one of these statements is attached with a blessing of a different kind. So, in the case of what we just read today, we read about the merciful, those who show undeserved kindness. We read about the pure in heart, those who live with Christ-like character and integrity. We read about the peacemakers, those who strive and develop and nurture unity among people. And with each one of these things, there is a unique blessing. In fact, Jesus, as He goes through this entire list of the Beatitudes, essentially says, hey, if you live a life with these characteristics evident, you will live a life full of God's blessing. Now, in verse 10, you may have noticed a little bit of a switch, where Jesus now moves from saying how God will respond to these characteristics, and He goes into how the world will respond to these characteristics within our life. And Jesus says that we will be persecuted, we will be insulted, and we will be slandered. Now, these are some pretty heavy words, aren't they? You know, persecution is no joke. You know, being insulted is hurtful. Being slandered against is incredibly painful. These are uncomfortable things, and yet Jesus prescribes for us a perspective that will help us endure these difficult and uncomfortable things. And this perspective is to view them as blessings and to view them as reasons for joy and reasons for gladness. Now, it's right here. It's exactly why we called this series Paradox. Because what I just said makes no sense whatsoever. It's completely ridiculous. I do not view persecution as a blessing. I don't view insults against me as reasons for joy. I certainly don't view slander towards me as reasons for great gladness. This is why it is a paradox. But what Jesus is trying to do is to move our focus and to move how we respond to those things from the natural to the supernatural, to change our perspective from the temporary to the eternal. You see, the reality is this: when we live with an eternal perspective, we get to not only endure the challenges of living righteously in a world of sin, but we get to embrace those challenges as well. So here's the question that I've been wrestling with as I've been thinking and meditating on this scripture, as I've been preparing for this, and not just this particular passage, but the entire list of the Beatitudes. As I've been thinking about this, this is the question that has bubbled up to the top, and I want to invite you to kind of wrestle with it as well. And the question is this: what do I desire more? Eternal blessing for the uncomfortable, or temporary protection from the uncomfortable? Ultimately, our answer to this question reveals our heart, it reveals our perspective, and it reveals how we relate to God, which is exactly what Jesus wanted to do when He spoke these words that we are reading today.